The movie begins with Edmund longing for adventure again. Years have passed since he and his siblings ruled as kings and queens of Narnia, and now he's stuck in England, treated like an ordinary boy instead of the king he once was. Lucy feels just as restless, stuck in a house where she doesn't quite belong, daydreaming of the world they once knew. Their cousin Eustace, however, wants nothing to do with their fairy tales. He mocks them, sneers at the very idea of Narnia, and insists they're delusional. But everything changes the moment the painting on Lucy's wall begins to shift and move. Water pours from the frame, flooding the room with impossible force. Before any of them can escape, the entire wall becomes a roaring sea that drags the children straight into another world. They surface beneath a blinding sun and find themselves face to face with a magnificent ship, the Dawn Treader. Lucy and Edmund know instantly where they've arrived, and Eustace, still sputtering seawater, realizes this is no fairy tale. King Caspian himself pulls them aboard, welcoming his old friends and unknowingly welcoming a reluctant new traveler. The Dawn Treader begins to slice across the glittering waves, carrying them toward a mysterious chain of islands. Caspian explains that he's on a quest to find the 7 lost lords of Telmar, friends of his late father who vanished while fleeing tyranny. Lucy and Edmund listen with rising excitement, but Eustace wants nothing but to go home. His whining becomes even louder when a talking mouse named Reepicheep confronts him with chivalry, charm, and a sword nearly as tall as Eustace's arm. The boy faints on the spot. As days pass aboard the vessel, Eustace continues to clash with everyone, complaining about the food, the air, the talking animals, and even the waves. Meanwhile, Caspian, Edmund, and Lucy prepare for their first destination, the Lone Islands. A once loyal territory of Narnia, the place now feels unsettlingly empty. No banners, no soldiers, no welcome, only silence and shadows clinging to half-abandoned buildings. Something is deeply wrong here, and the group senses it instantly. That suspicion is confirmed when they discover hidden slaves and a logbook filled with names of villagers scheduled to be sold. Before the group can react, slavers spring an ambush from above Edmund, and Caspian fight fiercely. But when Eustace is seized and a blade is put to his throat, the heroes are forced to surrender. Lucy and Eustace are dragged to the marketplace to be sold, while Edmund and Caspian are thrown into a dungeon where hope seems nearly lost. But deep within the prison lies a crucial discovery. Lord Byrne, one of the 7 lost lords, he reveals a horrifying truth. Villagers aren't just being sold. They're being taken to a place shrouded in a sinister green mist where no one ever returns. Their only fate is disappearance. Byrne warns that the same doom awaits the children unless help arrives soon. And just when despair thickens, an explosion of clashing steel and battle cries echoes from above. Drinian and the Dawn Treader crew storm the slave market, cutting chains and scattering slavers. Edmund and Caspian break free and leap into the fray, turning the tide. Lucy is rescued, Reepicheep duels with Flare, and the marketplace is liberated. Freed villagers rejoice as Byrne presents Caspian with an ancient sword, the first of 7 sacred blades gifted by Aslan himself. To break the mist's power, all 7 must be returned to Aslan's table. Deep across the sea, with a renewed mission, the Dawn Treader sails onward. But trouble follows closely. Eustace tries to steal food, only to be confronted, again, by Reepicheep. Their rivalry is fiery, loud, and hilarious. Yet Reepicheep sees something in the boy, the potential for bravery. Meanwhile, Lucy grapples with her own insecurities, secretly wishing she were as beautiful as her sister Susan. That longing soon becomes dangerous. A stop at a quiet island plunges Lucy into her greatest trial. In the night, invisible creatures called Dufflepuds kidnap her and force her into the mansion of a powerful magician. They beg her to read a spell to make the unseen seen. Inside the mansion, Lucy discovers a book of magic, and in it, a spell that could transform her appearance forever. Her longing tempts her to tear the page and keep the words for herself. Even as Aslan's voice gently calls her back, Lucy finally reads the proper spell, revealing the Dufflepuds as clumsy but harmless creatures, not giants as they pretended. Their master, the wise magician Koryakin, warns the group about a place known as the Dark Island, where all evil and fear takes shape. The green mist originates there, preying on travelers' weaknesses. Only by placing all 7 swords upon Aslan's table can its corruption be broken. But he warns them, before the quest ends, each of them will face their deepest temptation. The voyage becomes rougher. Storms swallow the blue guiding star. Doubt creeps among the crew. That night, the mist slithers into their dreams. Lucy dreams she's Susan, admired, adored. But in that world, Lucy herself no longer exists. Edmund dreams of the White Witch offering him power again. Both wake shaken, understanding that the mist is already trying to break them from within. They arrive at another island where a pool turns anything it touches into solid gold. Temptation strikes hard. Edmund imagines returning to England wealthy beyond imagination. Caspian refuses to take anything, sparking a heated argument fueled by jealousy and pride. The mist is manipulating them, twisting their feelings. Only Lucy's desperate plea stops them before the tension becomes dangerous. But Eustace faces a far darker temptation. Separating from the group, he finds a trove of golden treasures piled high. Greed overwhelms him. As he fills his pockets, the ancient enchantment of the island awakens, and Eustace is transformed into a dragon. Terrified and grieving his own foolishness, the newly winged creature flees into the sky. The crew panics when the dragon swoops overhead, nearly destroying the ship's mast. But when Edmund approaches, the creature gently sketches the letters Eustace into the sand, revealing the truth. Shock turns to sorrow as they realize there may be no way to restore him. Reepicheep offers comfort, telling Eustace that such a transformation could only happen to someone capable of extraordinary change. Days later, the Dawn Treader continues toward Ramondu's island, with Dragon Eustace flying faithfully beside them. There, they discover 3 more lords asleep under a spell and recover their swords. Then the Blue Star descends as a luminous woman named Liliendil, who guides them to Aslan's table. 6 swords lie ready, but the final one remains at the Dark Island, the birthplace of the mist. Drawing deep breaths of courage, the Voyagers press onward into the darkness. The mist thickens, whispering lies, twisting memories, preying on the deepest insecurities of every soul aboard the ship. At this point in the story, if you suddenly found yourself facing your darkest fear, something only you know, what would you do? Tell me in the comments. I want to see how brave you are. As the ship is engulfed in swirling shadows, the voice of a man cries out from the darkness, warning them to turn back. It is Lord Roop, holding the final sword, but too tormented by nightmares to escape the island himself. Eustace, still a dragon, lifts him gently aboard. With all 7 swords finally found, they attempt to leave, but it is already too late. The mist senses their fear. Edmund, remembering the White Witch, imagines her again, and the island responds instantly. A colossal sea serpent erupts from the depths, thrashing its monstrous coils around the Dawn Treader. The ship splinters under its force. Caspian shouts commands, sailors cling to ropes, and darkness swallows the sky. Eustace dives in to help, breathing fire across the serpent's scales, but the beast knocks him from the air rope. Confused and overwhelmed, hurls his sword at the dragon, striking him by mistake. Wounded and desperate, Eustace flies back toward Ramondu's island, still carrying the final sword lodged in his body. There, on the shores of Aslan's presence, he collapses, and the great lion appears before him. Aslan touches the dragon's scales, and they peel away like ash, revealing the boy beneath Eustace. Overwhelmed with emotion, picks up the sword and races toward Aslan's table, determined to save his friends. On the dark sea, Edmund is nearly swallowed as the serpent crushes the ship around him. Just as hope begins to slip away, a radiant blast erupts across the horizon. Eustace has completed the circle. The 7th sword lands on Aslan's table, releasing a surge of light that explodes through the mist itself. Edmund's sword glows in response. Empowered, he plunges the blade straight into the serpent, shattering the monstrous illusion and breaking the curse forever. The sea calms, light returns. The dark island dissolves into nothingness, and all those taken by the mist, including Rince's lost wife, are finally freed. Joy floods the Dawn Treader. Eustace, fully restored and transformed by humility and courage, is welcomed back with pride. Even Reepicheep embraces him, delighted by the boy he's become. Soon after, the crew reaches the end of the world, a tranquil shore bordered by a towering wave frozen in time. And waiting for them is Aslan. Aslan tells them their journey is complete. Caspian yearns to cross the wave and find his father, but ultimately realizes he must stay and rule his people. Reepicheep, however, is granted his lifelong wish to travel to Aslan's country, leaving his friends with heartfelt goodbyes. Then Aslan tells Lucy and Edmund the truth. They have grown too old for Narnia. They cannot return again. Though bittersweet, they accept this with courage. Aslan promises he will always be with them in their world, and a portal opens. The children step through and appear back in the flooded bedroom, the water draining magically into the painting. Eustace gently rehangs it, smiling with newfound respect for the world he once mocked. Their journey's over, but their growth, their bravery, and their memories will stay with them forever. And if you enjoyed being swept back into Narnia on this adventure, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Great Animation Recaps, and tell me which character's transformation meant the most to you. More epic journeys are waiting, so stick around, traveler.